Good evening, everyone. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Jagriti Saini, founder and owner of Eternal Restroom, a forward-thinking MSME startup dedicated to holistic student development and capacity building in STEM education. Dr. Saini is a passionate educator, researcher, and entrepreneur whose mission is to empower students and educators with a deep expertise in data science, AI, IoT, and research methodology. Uh, in the previous session, we have seen blockchain technology session, and in this particular session, ma'am will explain the recommendation system powering personal business strategies and will provide the hands-on session with the TensorFlow and Keras. You know the introduction of Dr. Jagdish Sani already. So without wasting any time, I'm asking ma'am to start the presentation. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. So we are here on another session that is on recommendation system, and this technique is precisely used for personalized recommendations in business houses. So this is the main reason why this is gaining more popularity these days, because most of the businesses are looking forward to create some relevant recommendation system to enhance customer satisfaction level these days. And AI is helping us in this entire process. So in this current session, we'll be talking about first a little bit of theoretical discussion on recommendation system, what they are and how do they work, and we'll also connect it with the business strategies, that how designing a recommendation system may be a fruitful solution for businesses. And along with that, we will also go through some challenges and design concepts related to recommendation systems. And after completing the theoretical discussion, we'll switch to a case study, again by using Python platform, for which a data set will be shortly shared with all of you. There will be two data files. I'll be doing one case study with movie recommendation data set, and some very simple files will be shared with you. It will not be like a very extensive case study considering the time limitation, but still you will get the crux of how we build a recommendation system for certain real world application. So that Python implementation we will do. And I just suppose that all of you must be sitting with your laptop, so that when we start the Python based implementation after discussing theoretical session, you all can implement with me side by side. That is why we have shared the data sets with all of you. So let us first start with the PPT over here. The main idea for this session is to first learn about recommendation systems, why they have wide importance in the industries these days, and what kind of data driven strategies they keep on using to power modern business decision making processes. And the specific goals that we are going to achieve by the end of this session is to understand the core concepts as well as some primary algorithms that are used for designing recommendation systems. We'll understand their impact on the business case studies through some examples that I'll include in discussion. Then challenges and solutions also we'll talk about, and ultimately we will develop a case study using Python programming. So this will be the overview of today's discussion. Moving forward with the fundamentals of recommendation system, let us have a little bit of idea about what they are first. So these recommendation systems represent a category from artificial intelligence itself, where we take huge amount of data from the field environment and we process it in such a manner that it can help us to predict or find some solutions for people among growing number of options around. Like it could be about buying some product or watching some movie, selecting some web series on Netflix. There are plenty of things that we have to choose in our day-to-day life, especially when making purchase from different business houses. It may be selecting some clothing item, some kitchen item, or many other things in your day-to-day life. So these recommendation systems will help you to narrow down from wide range of options available around so that you can pick the most relevant one based on your requirements and your interest levels, and you can make your decisions more actively instead of spending so much of time to go through all the hundreds of options around you. So you are basically employing a machine on behalf of you to make selections for you, and that is going to save much of your time in your day-to-day life. While talking about these recommendation systems, they can have algorithms from variety of subdomains in artificial intelligence. Majority of such systems are designed using machine learning algorithms. However, depending upon what kind of data you have in hand, you may have deep learning algorithms also. Sometimes NLP approaches are also used in this, and it makes use of big data that we gather from consumers or products, or maybe from some social media platforms, or it could be from some business houses, and we just try to process that data to make certain decisions further. And this decision making can be based on so many criteria behind. It may include information on past purchases of the person. Similarly, it could be about search history of the people, like when you start working on different types of applications or shopping platforms that you may have installed on your mobile phone. So your search history is already always being recorded over there. So when you are scrolling through certain set of products, the recommendation systems that are running behind those mobile applications, they will store your preferences in their memories, and next time they are going to recommend you certain type of products based on it. And this thing, I think many of you might have seen in your regular life. Like sometime you search for something on Google using your phone, like any random search you make, maybe on certain shoe, or maybe certain bike or car, something you search on Google just to get some information about it. And within few seconds or within few minutes, you will see that you will start getting recommendations for that kind of product on your different social media handles, including your Instagram or Facebook, etc. Everywhere you start getting advertisements related to that product. This is a quite surprising fact, that how fast these AI systems are working behind. And also, it is a threatening concept as well, if you think wisely. Like something is tracking all your browsing history continuously. Whatever you are browsing, that is being seen by some business houses behind, or they are continuously observing your preferences so that they can later on influence you to buy something from their end. This is how the business industry is working, and we as consumers start buying things in that influence. That you might have seen several times, you see some advertisements on Facebook, like maybe a new clothing product, a new shoes, a bag, something you see on social media. You just click on that link, you are taken to the website of like maybe Amazon, Myntra, or many other platforms are there, and then you make a purchase from this. So this is how the chain works behind for these recommendation systems. They are tracking your priorities, your preferences in every second. And they will also help, although there are some benefits as well. The threats also are there with every technology. Benefits also are involved behind. So one biggest benefit you will see, like you need not to spend much time on scrolling through so many websites or so many platforms online or offline to buy certain product, because these recommendation systems are going to help you discover the most relevant product based on your search histories, your likes, dislikes, and your preferences that it has seen from your previous activities. So this is how they are going to assist you in entire purchase process. These recommendation systems are trained to understand the previous decisions of the individuals along with their preferences and even the characteristics of people and products, to understand the interactions between them. For instance, how a person likes certain product, or what are their opinion or what ratings they are giving to certain product. All those things are saved somewhere on the back end of your recommendation system. This information is used for training it, and ultimately it is going to give you outcome based on your that priority data. So this may include information about any kind of social media impressions that you have made relevant to that product or service. Similarly, any clicks or likes you have done, any purchase history you have relevant to certain product. All these informations are going to help you further get a highly personalized level of recommendations, and this is how they are going to sort your favorite and non-favorite content on the applications. So this is how things are highlighted on your shopping platforms as well as on social media. You might have seen that sometime on social media like Facebook or Instagram, if you start viewing certain category of videos, maybe someone is interested more in political videos, so they will get more feeds from that genre only. More and more of political videos they will find in their feeds. If someone likes to watch maybe some movie clips, so they get more and more feeds from that genre. So this is how it is automatically learning your preferences every day. So you might have observed sometime that part also, that for a month like regularly you are watching some political videos, so you are getting those recommendations continuously. But then maybe on some day after a month you switched your genre preferences, like you started looking forward for some movie clips, just some laughter movie clips, or maybe some dog, cat, or animal videos you start watching, and just within few hours you will see your entire movie feed is getting updated with that newly liked content or newly watched content. Even if you have not liked or shared those videos, you have just watched them, you have just spent some time on those videos, it will update its recommendations accordingly, and your like within few hours and within 1 or 2 days your entire preference on that social media platform will be changed, because it is noticing everything behind. And this is how you are going to find the most interesting content on those applications. So whatever is your preference at particular time, accordingly the recommendations you are getting from there. Now there are so many versions of these recommendation systems, plenty of types you will find when the design process occurs behind. I'll highlight three most commonly used recommendation systems over here. So the design concept goes with, like, the first case we have is with collaborative filtering process. So in this case they have to filter recommended items from a long list of items, and that will be based on the preference information of a specific user. Out of the ratings or the updates received from so many users in the list. Like on Amazon, etc., you might have observed this several times. Whenever you put something into your cart, they start suggesting you few more relevant products. Like people who try to put maybe bread into their Blinkit cart, they may get suggestions for butter also, because these things are commonly purchased together by people. So that recommendation comes automatically. So the system is trying to judge the preferences of so many users that are active on that particular shopping platform. And based on that, it is recommending something relevant during your purchase. And sometimes we get influenced, and maybe you are putting bread into your cart, and then you remember, okay, I have to buy butter also. So that is seen in the suggestion only. So from there, you make prompt decision and you put that also into your cart, and you make payment out there. So this is going to derive your purchase behaviors based on the previous interactions between users and the different purchase items or services available on the platform. While working on this collaborative filtering mechanism, some models are designed in such a manner that they track past behavior of the user on certain items purchased by them, or even the ratings that they have given to certain items, along with similar decisions made by other user. So it is not dependent on your personal data, rather it is taking reference from other users also. So people who are making similar kind of choices or purchase decisions, or maybe watching similar kind of movies, chances are that you have some likelihood of matching their choices in future also. And based on that, they start giving common recommendation to people with similar interest. So this could be one perfect example for the collaborative filter, when similar kind of users, based on their gender preferences or maybe actor preferences or many other categories that they fall behind, maybe they have watched certain common movie. So based on that, maybe some new movies can be recommended to both these users, because they are following similar kind of taste, that may be based on the cast of the movie or director of the movie or storyline of the movie or type of genre we have in that movie. So based on that, the recommendation goes for other user also. Then second technique we further have is, let us first talk about little advantage and disadvantage, then I'll move to second technique. First, this helps you to have effective solution when you have majority of data from the field environment. Of course, because we need here information from that individual user along with many other users also. So if that abundant amount of data is present, then definitely it is going to provide effective decision making. And it doesn't require detailed information, rather it just need information on what are the likes, dislikes, and past purchase histories of the people, so of the similar interests. So accordingly it can generate its recommendation. But the problem here is that this kind of recommendation system generally struggle with sparse data. Sometimes you have data with plenty of values close to zero, like maybe if you are tracking hundreds of users, chances are that they are less uh, interactive on the software where you are trying to track their preferences, and you get no data in between. So sparse data is one major problem while collecting this kind of information. Also, there is cold start problem for new users and items, because for new users you don't have any past data about their preferences and likes or dislikes, and you will not be able to give precise recommendation to them, because you will not be able to match their interest with any other users without knowing about their personal tendencies. The example I have already given you with Amazon and Blinkit, etc., they are following these kind of solutions widely. Then the second technique we have in the list is content filtering, another version of recommendation systems. So these kind of recommendation systems prefer content from the specific user preferences. instead of collaborative data from multiple users. Here we talk about individual user preferences. So this approach takes information on the preferred items as well as the users. Just two of them are focused on while setting up the algorithm behind, and the likelihood of new interactions or new recommendations is based on that only. So, for instance, a person, the target person has watched maybe 2 3 different movies in the past. Based on that, we can recommend them some movies in future. Maybe a person within past 1 or 2 months has watched plenty of action movies. So maybe in the next month, Netflix is going to recommend them the action movie whenever it is released on the platform. So immediately it is going to recommend that a movie of your taste has been arrived on the platform. So this genre preference may go ahead, or maybe some caste based preference may go ahead, like maybe a person preferably watches movies of certain actor or actress. Accordingly, new recommendations will be based on that. So this phenomena all of you might have observed while interacting on different uh, platforms like Netflix or Hotstar or Prime Videos, etc. Everywhere this works behind like this. Main advantage of this content based filtration system is that it works well even with limited or sufficient history of the user, because it doesn't have to rely on information about other users also, so that users preferences are enough to make decisions. And it doesn't have any kind of cold start problem for individual users, because it is based on the preferences of that person only who is on certain platform. Then it requires detailed attribute data for certain items. That is one limitation, because for that specific person, everything is based on their preferences, their likes and dislikes only. We cannot take recommendation from other users in that. So definitely it requires plenty of attribute data for specific items that people have watched or maybe purchased in the past. And there are limited abilities to recommend diverse range of items, because we are taking preference from single user only. In case of collaborative, we can have diverse range of recommendations based on the similar interest, but here that is a limitation. So this kind of recommendation system is widely used on Spotify platform. If many of you have used that application, you might have seen that they keep on recommending songs based on different audio features that you prefer on the platform, like maybe your mood or tempo, etc. So accordingly, they recommend you new songs, and people find it quite cool that they don't have to choose songs manually. Rather, it keeps on recommending next selections into your playlist automatically. Then third one recommendation system type we can have is context filtering. In this case, we prefer using the contextual information from the particular user, like it involves data about what the person is doing on the platform from a long time. This may be like a time series data we are collecting. Like maybe NVIDIA is also using this kind of procedures on certain platforms, where they try to see the contextual user actions, and based on that they try to predict future actions. So like this context as a time series data they have captured. So what was the initial preference, maybe action movies a person is watching, so next time also it is going to recommend some action movie to that person. So this is completely based on the time series information instead of the likes or dislikes, which is additional content in case of the previous case that we have studied with the content filtering. Here we are only based on the date time information and country and device information that a person is using during browsing on certain online platform. So this completes different types of recommendation systems that you may find online. And now let us have a quick idea about how these recommendation systems work. Starting with the first step, that is always data collection. In AI, whenever we talk about designing certain kind of algorithm, certain kind of export system, data collection is always the first stage. And there can be plenty of different sources of data from where you may gather your information. In order to design a recommendation system, you may need information on user profiles that could include some demographic details like location of the person, gender or age, etc. Similarly, it may focus on interaction history of the person, what clicks, views, or purchases, or ratings, comments, etc. they have done in the past. And that could be from multiple platforms, like what they browse on social media, what they browse on shopping platforms, or what they search for on Google. So everything can be merged together. And then the implicit feedbacks, such as how much time a person spends on a page. Sometimes we enter into some pages by mistake, but if the time spent on that page is very short, it will not be included in the recommendation category. But if a person is spending more time on certain content, then definitely it will considered as their preferred content, and accordingly the recommendation system can learn the future traits and also the search query patterns as well for that person. So accordingly it is going to provide more insights during recommendation process. So in order to do this data collection from these different set of sources, we can have plenty of techniques. Just few of them I have highlighted over here. First is log analysis technique we can use, that includes extracting patterns from server logs of individual persons, or maybe whatever server you are preferring to run your all search histories. So from there they are getting data, like when you are using your home Wi-Fi, the preferences over there may be saved differently. When you are using institute Wi-Fi, the preferences over there may be saved differently depending upon what activities you do in those hours when you spend time at that particular server. Similarly, there may be some external data integrations depending upon the external sources or APIs, etc. If you have browsed any, so that information also it is going to include in the data collection process. Few examples of this we can include is like some e-commerce sites that we can use for tracking the shopping behavior of the people. And then streaming platform also makes a great example, like how much duration a person has spent on certain type of content. So accordingly the recommendation may flow. Then the second step we have is data pre-processing. Whenever we are getting data from the field environment, we call it a raw data. And in order to build a good export system or recommendation system, you need to pre-process that data by using some standard mechanisms. It could include like improving the quality of data by removing any kind of inconsistencies or inaccuracies that may be in so many forms. Or sometimes there are some structured issues also, like different platforms may be generating data in different forms. So in order to train a recommendation system, we may first need to bring that data into a standard format so that it could be understood by the machine learning model or maybe any other algorithm used for this recommendation system design. There are plenty of techniques that can be used for data pre-processing. Just few of them I have highlighted over here. It may be dealing with the missing values, any kind of substitution if we have to make, or we have to delete any rows and columns based on the presence of missing values that we may have to update. Similarly, if any kind of normalization we have to apply, because when you get data from the real world environment, it may be having different kinds of scales, or it may not be uniform in terms of measurement unit also. So in order to deal with all those discrepancies in data, we prefer normalizing it. Similarly, in case of categorical data, like alphabetical sequences or any kind of string data, you may also need to convert those alphabetical sequences into numbers. And for that, we prefer using encoding process. So these are some of the most commonly used techniques for data pre-processing. The idea is to just make your raw data free from any kind of inconsistency and make it ready for a machine learning model or a deep learning model further. Generally, it is said that majority of your deep learning model doesn't require any kind of pre-processing, because they have thousands of layers within, and those layers are capable enough to draw relevant insights even from raw data. But when we are talking about algorithms deployed in recommendation systems or the machine learning algorithms, these data pre-processing techniques are widely required to improve or to clean data that we are gathering from different platforms, because it generally comes with so many inconsistencies. That is a natural phenomena we have in this type of data. Some of the major challenges during data pre-processing you will find is, like, you may have to deal with massive amount of data. So different kind of formattings you may have to deploy on that huge amount of data or big data that you are getting from real world environment. And there may be several times some biases due to the historical references that we are getting within the data. So we may have to deal with them to procure a good quality data for the machine learning model or the expert system at next stage. Then in the third step, we talk about the model building. And I have already discussed that there can be different types of collaborative content or hybrid models or context based models. There are different options we can have in designing recommendation systems. When we talk about collaborating filtering techniques, some of the commonly used algorithms are matrix factorization or SVD algorithm, etc. So support vectors are widely used in this. Similarly, content-based filtering techniques can be also used. We have discussed this part as well. Then some hybrid models where we are combining this collaborative and content-based approaches that could also enhance your accuracy. And one more technique we have already discussed is context-based. So in some cases that may also be applicable. So we need to choose the most appropriate algorithm to lead our decision making process, and that too must be compatible with the data set that you are providing on its input. During the model building process, the main focus is on training your model with good quality data so that it doesn't experience any kind of overfitting or underfitting conditions, because these are some of the biggest challenges in deep learning as well as in machine learning models. Overfitting is a condition when your model behaves well with training data but it fails on the testing data. Underfitting is another type of challenge where your model fails on training as well as on the testing data. So this requires you to improve your training process, your feature extraction process, data pre-processing techniques, etc., to deal with these challenges. And similarly, there are plenty of frameworks that we can prefer for these model building processes. Some of the most commonly used frameworks are TensorFlow and PyTorch, etc. In my case study, I'll be using TensorFlow. So that we will be learning in the practical demonstration. While building your model, there are few considerations we need to keep in mind. One thing is the complexity as well as computational cost of the model. So how expensive model you are creating, that is going to make difference later on in your deployment stage. Maybe your servers or your websites or mobile applications will not be able to handle a very complex or computationally expensive model. So need to find ways to design models that are easy to operate in real time scenarios and they are not resource hungry. So these things we always need to keep in mind. And they should also be able to handle millions of users at a time. Because if we are deploying a recommendation system on maybe Amazon or Flipkart or maybe these kind of popular platforms, there are like billions or millions of users that are connected at the same time. So if your recommendation system is not able to handle that load of data, it is going to fail in the long run. So we need a very high level precision with these kind of models to ensure satisfaction to this large number of users connected on the platform. Then at the fourth stage, we have to generate the recommendations based on the algorithm training process. So on the fourth step, we'll just try to see how good your model is in prediction process. We can use different types of model evaluation parameters at this stage to ensure if your model is recommending it well based on the preferences or interest of the person. and the relevant scores of all the recommendations will be tested, the correlation between the outcomes will be tested, so that we can ensure best ever experience to the users. It may also include optimization process sometime, like we may need to organize recommendations based on some ranked lists or maybe some grids, etc. So the user interface also we have to make appealing, so that people find good to interact with these recommendation systems. And it should also ensure that we are getting real time recommendations, like within few seconds if person is adding something to their cart, they need recommendation immediately for the next product. So that level of efficiency we need from these models. Some examples we can include from this is like discover weekly playlist option available on Spotify, so that it can see your listening habits, and it can just improve its model outcomes based on your weekly mood or the preferences that you have while working on this Spotify platform. Same goes with the Amazon, like which items are bought together by other users, accordingly they are selling things further with the new users also. The last set of this recommendation system procedural is feedback loop creation, because a recommendation system needs to learn on the go. It is not like we have trained it once and then it is deployed and then it is making recommendation all the time. We need continuous procedures here. It should learn with time, like maybe today my preference may be different and tomorrow it may change. So if my recommendation system is not learning my preferences, it may fail within 2-3 days only. So this is the main reason to have a feedback loop in your recommendation system, so that it can keep on making continuous improvement over time. And the feedbacks can be based on the explicit content or implicit contents. Like in case of explicit, we can say about user ratings, their likes, dislikes, or reviews, etc., that they are submitting on the applications or other marketplaces online. Similarly, implicit content include user behaviors, clicks, or amendments that they are making while working on different social media platforms or different shopping platforms, etc. So all this kind of information they prefer to utilize while setting up the feedback loop. And there may be different types of models that can be utilized for this. Sometimes we can employ even A/B testing also to compare different types of recommendations and then choose the most effective one out of the selection. So it could be like some voting techniques we can use, A/B testing techniques we can use, so that the most appropriate recommendation can be made for the end users. So this is the entire process behind how a recommendation system works. Let us have key insights about what are the popular algorithms. I'll not discuss algorithms in detail, just key highlights only I'll provide here, because we have limited time, and if we start discussing algorithms, it will be like a long mathematical procedure behind that we may have to discuss. But just the names I'll introduce to you here, so that you can search through them later on while designing your recommendation systems. So first category we have is matrix factorization. This is one of the most popularly used method. It helps you to decompose different interactions between users and the products into a matrix, and that is definitely based on some mathematical calculation behind, deployed with certain algorithms. But it tries to generate a matrix for the training purpose, and preferably they prefer using a collaborative filtering technique while generating this matrix to see the interaction between users and items. And ultimately they can make recommendation based on the data that is entered into the matrix. Some of the popular algorithms in this include a singular value decomposition, and similarly alternating least scarce method is also widely used. The main advantage in this area is handling large scale data, because this can generate metrics of any size based on what kind of user preferences or collaborative data we are getting from the field environment. And then it can even capture some hidden patterns based on the interactions between users and the products. However, the limitations include, again, sparse dataset issue, and it is difficult to handle large data sets, because generally with the collaborative filtering we get huge amount of data, and that sometimes gets difficult to deal with on a recommendation system background. Then one more option we have is some hybrid models you will find, and they basically have the combination of collaborative and content based filtering, and they can help you to mitigate options that come with limited content, or even when we don't have complete information about individual users preference or cold start problem, etc. They can handle easily because they combine information from individual users as well as other users with similar interest. And some implementation methodologies in this case we can use is like weighted hybrid or switching hybrid, depending upon how many models or algorithms we are trying to integrate together. Based on that, we can either assign weights for their decision making, and accordingly the voting can be done, or similarly the switching process can be updated while altering between different models during various scenarios. So maybe some models may be good with certain type of products, some models may be good with other type of services, so accordingly we can alter between those models in that entire recommendation system. Then the third category, which is quite widely used, is your deep learning models. That includes neural network based designs to handle complex patterns in the data. And it may include some architectures based on autoencoders, because they are good enough to handle big matrices of data, like very huge dimension of data they can handle very easily by using some dimensionality reduction techniques in between. Recurrent neural networks can be also used because they itself have their feedback structures within the model, and they can learn over time. They can understand user preferences if any change is happening over time, so they can recommend things better. Similarly, transformers are also being widely utilized for this purpose, especially when we talk about contextual information. So in that case, transformers are widely preferred. In case of deep learning model, the biggest benefit is that it can handle big data easily. You can supply any high dimensional data effectively on the model, and it can build intricate relationships between the behaviors of the users as well as the product categories, and accordingly it can send the recommendations. But limitations are also there, because when we are supplying massive amount of data, it will be computationally very expensive, a resource hungry algorithm you are going to design by the end. And there may be a huge requirement of hyperparameter tuning to get accurate outcomes from your model, because when you have massive amount of data, definitely for the model also it takes longer time to tune the performance. However, this kind of models are widely used in YouTube platform, where they keep on recommending you personalized videos based on your past preferences. Let us have a quick idea about what business strategies are commonly powered by these kind of recommendations. So although there is a very long list, I'm just highlighting few of them over here. First application you can consider is in personalized marketing, where we can just customize maybe email campaigns based on the past browsing history. Many times you might have seen that you get promotional emails based on what you are watching on your social media platforms, or sometime based on what you have searched on your Google window earlier. So you start getting personalized emails based on that. So that is a kind of recommendation system working behind. This is like Amazon suggesting products after your certain purchase. Then you start getting similar product recommendations in your email as well. It could also talk about cross-selling and upselling also, where we just try to suggest related or premium product after buying something from certain platform. One example could be like offering fries with a burger order. When you are making order online, so they may suggest something like from their premium list or some related list available in their product platform. It could also assist in customer retention, because when we are offering personalized experiences and recommendations on the platform, the customer retention is genuine over there, because people stay satisfied. They need not to spend more time to browse for things of interest. Rather, they get recommendations in timely manner from the automated systems running behind the applications or web interfaces. And one example of this I have already discussed is the Discover Weekly feature of Spotify platform. It could also assist in dynamic pricing based on the demands or the trends that are occurring in the market, what people are searching at certain time, what they are preferring at certain time. Like maybe at the time of pandemic, there may be different search histories on servers used by different people. At the time of Christmas or Diwali, there may be different search histories. So accordingly, the algorithm may make adjustments, and it may show what kind of things are on demand or what is trending these days. And then accordingly, business houses can set up their prices, or if they have to put up some sales, etc., accordingly they can do in the peak hours. Highlighting some case studies from big business houses like Amazon is widely using collaborative filtering techniques to help people make decisions based on what others have purchased together. So this is a common statement you will see on Amazon platform when you try to buy something. Even right now, if you try to put something into your cart, you will get this kind of suggestion on the bottom screen. It says that customers who purchase this, they also purchase such and such thing. So based on this, the analysis says that Amazon has increased their revenue by 35% just by using this kind of recommendation, because it just influenced people to buy something else instead of just focusing on what they have thought about while entering into the marketplace. Then on the Spotify platform also, we have seen this like content based creation, and they also have a combination of collaborative filtering over there. They are using hybrid models on the platform that helps them with higher user retention. So these are real time case studies where recommendation systems are working and they are providing fruitful outcomes. Same goes with the Netflix platform, because they also make use of hybrid modeling that helps us to ensure enhanced user engagement. You may see automatic recommendations on the Netflix. They also start sending you some notifications based on any new movie released from the genres that you like, so that you can watch it accordingly. And they are also going to save huge amount based on that, because it doesn't require any manual analysis on things. Rather, everything is happening automatically based on the expert system installed on the background of certain application. Let us highlight few challenges of these recommendation systems. The cold start problem, right from the beginning I have discussed about this happens when we have lack of data for new users or items on the platform. So then it is not going to make more specialized recommendations for that particular user. But some solutions we can consider in this case is like use demographic data or hybrid models, because at least in case of hybrid model, you can suggest something from what other people are buying. So based on that, some recommendations you can make, and with time you can learn about what selections and rejections that person is making, and then you will be able to make decisions. So those hybrid models can be useful. Then we have also talked about data sparsity issue earlier, where we are not able to have enough interactions over user and item in a large data sets. So for this, we can consider using dimensionality reduction techniques like PCA, etc., so that the sparse information in data can be converted into most relevant set of vectors. And instead of training your model with a big matrix of like maybe 10,000 cross 10,000, maybe you can use maybe 100 or 200 features on the very small scale, and that could provide you relevant results after training process. So this also helps you to save you from one more challenge, that is computational complexity, because you are going to reduce feature size based on dimensionality reduction techniques. And when feature size is reduced, automatically it is going to bring some resource efficient models after training to you. Scalability is another challenge we have with recommendation system, because in real time there are millions of users working at a time, and how do we handle data from that large number of users is a big challenge. But over the years, researchers have found some relevant solutions for this as well, and it works well with distributed systems like Spark and Hadoop that can handle massive amount of real time data easily. So on the background, they can use these platforms to deal with the scalability issues. Ethics and bias is another challenge, because we need to ensure fairness and transparency while providing recommendations to the users. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that we are preserving their privacy. We are maintaining the security biases also on the platform. And for this, explainable AI frameworks can be one solution. Like people can get proper understanding of how the algorithm is working behind and how well it is treating their privacy concerns behind. So this option also we have in sequence. Few future trends that we can consider in designing these recommendation systems. At initial stage, we have some mathematical models only that were working for these recommendation system design. But in order to enhance the outcomes, now people are preferring transformer based models also for session based recommendations for specific accuracies, even when we have complex data sets or architectures in the beginning. We can also talk about context aware systems, where we are incorporating context in terms of time, location, mood, or a particular user data over the time. So this could be like one example we can consider: trip as advisor, based on what activities a person prefer to do when moving out for certain vacation, etc. So trip advisor can use this kind of context aware systems. They can have a stat about which places person has visited in the previous season, or what were their likes, dislikes over there. Accordingly, some new trip it can advise to the people around. Explainable AI is going to make a great change or great upliftment in the design of recommendation system, because it is going to show why certain product was recommended to a person, and that looks more convincing to make final decision on their end. So instead of just getting some irrelevant recommendations or sudden recommendations, we get recommendations with specific regions behind it. Then that helps you to build trust between business and the end consumers. A quick summary about whatever we have discussed till now. We have talked about recommendation systems, their importance, as well as their working procedures. We talked about different algorithms that we can utilize for setting up recommendation system, and the end-to-end process also for designing these systems, and why we need to incorporate feedback loop. That also we have discussed about. The main reason to have these recommendation system is to derive personalized recommendations for the user, so that we can ensure enhanced satisfaction level, engagement, and loyalty on the business platforms, and they can retain their customers for the longer duration. And there are plenty of trends also that we discussed about, like integrating AI for enhanced recommendation, transparency. We can have real-time data integration also by using edge computing techniques, as well as integration of multimodal data, including text, image, and audio, etc. We can plan in future as your some upcoming research projects. You can think about any of these. So this gives you a quick idea about how these recommendation systems work, the theoretical discussions we have done till now. Let me know if we are good up to this, and then we'll switch to the practical implementation. You can put your outcome in the chat box if you have understood the concept behind recommendation system till now. I would look forward for some interactions in the chat box, and then we will switch to the implementation part. No responses in the chat box. Okay, my next question will be, do you have your data sets that has been shared? Two data files have been shared with all of you, that is movies dataset and ratings dataset. One file is this ratings file and other file is this movies file. These two data sheets I have shared with all of you. Please let me know if you have received them. It is not like only ML models are preferred for recommendation system. At early stages, ML models were preferred because data was less. But since currently we are dealing with big data and we have plenty of information available from the real-time platform, so then deep learning models are also being widely used in this area. So it is not like only ML models will be preferred. With time, as I have shown you, that deep learning models are also working. The dataset must have been shared in a WhatsApp group, I suppose. You all must be in some WhatsApp group. Dr. Abhishek shared that dataset with all of you. There are two files. On Canvas also, sir has shared. So those who have joined the Canvas, they can get it from there as well. Let me know when you have the dataset. Then we will proceed further with the practical implementation. And I suppose all of you can do it side by side. So I'll be sharing codes accordingly side by side. I'll write on my side and then I'll share it on your side. I'll explain every part of the code so that you can learn the practical part of it. I'll wait for 2-3 minutes as you get your data sets. Just ping me in the chat box when you are ready with it, and then we'll start further. If some people are getting issue with dataset, let me share a file bin also side by side. If you are not on certain platform, you can maybe get it directly from here. Two files I'm inserting into this file bin, and you can use this link quickly to get your dataset. I have shared this link in chat box. Just click on this and you will be able to download files. These two CSV files you will be able to download. Let me know if you are able to do that. I'm sharing it in file bin. Just the easiest way I have added here. Let me know if you are able to get these two files. I'll wait for responses. Anyone ready with data and want to implement side by side? Please let me know in the chat box. If no one is implementing side by side, accordingly I'll switch. Okay, no responses, so I'll just proceed further. Then I'll not be sharing code side by side if no one is implementing. So we already know that we are talking about recommendation system here, and the data I have shared is about movie ratings with all of you. So a recommendation system will design to have movie recommendations based on ratings made by users and other users. So this dataset will first load on the platform on Google Colab, then we will pre-process it, then we will set up a recommendation system model, and ultimately we will see what it recommends based on certain user IDs. So for this, the very first task I'm doing here is import necessary libraries. That will be my first part here. I'll explain every part of the code side by side. So you can just stick to the screen and you can just listen to what is happening behind. First of all, few libraries. From past few days, you are doing several sessions. So I suppose many of these libraries you might have already used during experimentation. So pandas I'm using to handle CSV version of data. Similarly, NumPy I'll be using to do any kind of numerical manipulation on my data. Then from sklearn.model selection repository, I'm trying to get print test split. This I'll need further to split my data into training and testing data set. So this function also have imported in the beginning. After this, I'll go to my framework, TensorFlow SDF I'll call. And then from tensorflow.keras.models, I'll try to import a model that I'll deploy further. And from tensorflow.keras.layers, I'll just get layers of this model and I'll create a very basic system only. So I'll need input layer, embeddings layer, because we are talking about recommendation system. So instead of having other CNN layers, I'm taking here embedding layer. This will help me to set up my movie recommendations. Then flatten layer, same as your CNN. Dot layer I'm adding here, sorry. Dot layer also I'm adding here. This will help me to deal with the metrics designed from the movie recommendation system based on the data gained from users and the movies ratings. So that dot product we will conduct for creating your final metrics versions. And then a dense layer I need for the final stage of my deep learning model. So these are all things we need from the libraries. If we need anything else, we can import that further also. But I have just segregated this portion here so that you can recall whatever we have in the library section. So it will take a little bit of time to run. I'm executing it. In the meanwhile, I'll write the next part. So we will load data set over here. And in order to load data, I have some typo here. Let me check. For the TensorFlow, this has to be layers. So I'll just run it again. This is working fine. Now we are loading data set. If anyone is doing side by side, I'm asking again, they can post me in the chat box if they are doing side by side and if they need me to wait for them. Otherwise, it is like one-way interaction only. So I'm explaining from here and you can just follow accordingly, maybe if you want to do it later on. So I'm just clicking here on the file section. And in this section below sample data, I can place my data files. I have already shared data files with all of you. So those files only I'm keeping here. So I'll just click on upload button from here and I'll pass them here. I'll upload here and soon these CSV files will be available here. I may be going fast just because no one is doing it side by side. So I'm not waiting for your responses. If anyone is doing, they can let me know anytime in between so that I can wait for your executions. And then we can proceed together further. So that completely depends on responses that you give me in the chat box. So these two files I have here and I'll just call them here in specific folders. So one is rating file and other is movies file. And I'll call them from pd.read_csv. I'm taking help from pandas read CSV function. First, I'll get my ratings data. So I'll just put it inside here. The path of that data. Similarly, read_csv for movies data also I'll do. So I'll take path of this data and I'll place it here inside. So now I have stored these two Excel files or CSV files precisely into these variables. If we want to see these files, that also we can see. We can write here or I can make it more precise, like ratings and movies. Instead of writing file, I can write ratings and movies to make it precise. And you can see this is what we have in the ratings file. Just few glimpses of the entire Excel sheet we can have. These are just starting few lines of your data. It includes user ID, movie ID, then rating given by the person, and the timestamp. This may be in some specific zone, so you will not be able to understand it directly. This may be based on how, from the web scraping, they have gathered this information. However, currently we don't need this timestamp because we are not following any time-based specification, so we'll be dropping it anyhow further. So we need not to worry about this. These things are relevant to us right now, so that we'll be processing further. Similarly, in the second file, that is your movies file we have here. So from this movie ID, title, and genres we have. So currently I'm doing just simple recommendation system analysis on this data. It is not like a very extensive analysis that I'm conducting because we have limited time. But later on, you can see there are plenty of things that you can do. We have information on genres also. We have information on ratings given to individual movies by different users. So accordingly, different types of analysis you can do. Maybe based on certain genre, if you want to make recommendation, you can scroll into this section and you can find the most relevant movies to be recommended to a person. So there are plenty of things that we can do. A matrix can be generated from this genres itself. That could be a sparse matrix also with all these unique entries in the movies. So from which category a particular movie belongs to, accordingly certain recommendations can be decided further. So after analyzing that, this is the data inside our files that we have on the platform. Let us now start the step-by-step procedure to deal with it. So I'll first use some simple steps to pre-process this data. And for that, the task I'll write here is pre-processing data. And inside this, one by one, I'll do some task. The very first thing you will observe in this data, in the rating files you will see here, this is the Excel sheet we have with us. Okay, let me just open it again. I think I'm not able to get it right now. So here I have this ratings file. You can observe this is from certain specific user ID 1 means some user. We are not using names of the users over here, just privacy concerns as we have in deep learning. So user IDs only we have. And then movie ID. So if the person has watched these different set of movies, these movie IDs you can match with the second data set that we have on the movies. So from there you can identify which movie is connected to which rating over here. So you can observe like movie ID 1 is for this Toy Story movie. So accordingly we can go to ratings. This is movie ID 1. So means this rating is for Toy Story movie. Similarly, movie ID 3 we have, so we can match it here from the movies. This is Grumpier movie over here, comedy and romance genre. So from here also you can see rating 4. So if this one user has watched multiple movies, like there is a range of movies watched by this user 1, and they have just gathered data over the years, and based on this different set of ratings that they have given for, this goes up to, yes, this level. So we have around 232 ratings from user 1, and accordingly it may go with other users further. So if user 1 has watched around 232 movies, then their movie IDs and ratings are given here. Based on this, we can give a recommendation to this user in future. And if we are using some collaborative kind of training, then the information from user 2 and user 3, etc. also we can check. We can compare them further with which genres are preferred by a certain set of users. And then the collaborative training also we can conduct, and that can be your extensive analysis on which genres are preferred by which kind of users, and then accordingly you can recommend them specific movie from a specific genre. So this is a quick hypothesis we have conducted on the available data set. Now let us move to the platform here, pre-processing data set. And for this, we'll be setting up, the very first thing I'll do is map user ID and movie ID to unique indices. That will be the first thing I'll do here. For specific user IDs, I'll map movie IDs in sequence. Like currently, if I just check this data for the ratings of the different movies. So for user 1, these are the movie IDs we are getting. But now instead of getting this with these random numbers for the movie ID, we will just organize them in such a manner that for user ID 1, the specific movie ID list starting from 0 to some value will create. Then for user ID 2, accordingly the movie list will create. So they will have their specific indices based on user IDs instead of this regular movie ID sequence. So that will simplify our model training approaches further, and the matrices will be better aligned in that case instead of these large values that we have in the system, because there is matrix based alignment we have to make. So that is why we are trying to align these user ID and movie ID indices. So for this, I'll follow a few steps here. First, I'll just gather user IDs and movie IDs from my data. And for this, the technique will be simple. I'll go to the ratings, and here I'll pass user ID, and I'll collect all unique user IDs from my data. Similarly, I'll go to the ratings section, and here I'll pass information on movie ID and all the unique movie IDs that I have in the list that will be separated from here. So it will simply extract all unique user IDs from user ID column based on how they appear with respect to specific user, and then it will extract all the movie recommendations that they have made based on the ratings column that we have. Now moving further, in the next step, what I'll do is I'll create user to index mapping. So for this user to index sequence I'm creating, and here I'll pass a dictionary with user, the IDs I'm getting for specific analysis in the user category, and for this I'll just use enumerate function with user IDs. So a dictionary basically I'm trying to create to map indices from the user values as well as the movie values. So this enumerate function that I'm using here over user IDs, it will iterate across all unique IDs of the users, and it will assign unique index to every user, and so that we can map movies with the unique index of every user, and accordingly we can make recommendations further. So a dictionary like structure it will save within. The same will do for movies as well. So movie to index variable I'm creating here, and in this case we can use the same process, but I'll just replace user with the movie. So I'll write here, then for the movie index we are using this, and here also I'll pass it. So these are the indexes we have created based on unique IDs, and now I'll pass this into my ratings dataset. Currently you will see here in my ratings file I have these 4 entries, only. Now I'll create 2 more entries in this file that will be ratings based on user IDs. So this is one new column I'm creating here, And this will contain information on user IDs that I have initially obtained, and it's mapping with user to index. So that mapping function we have inserted here. So whatever user to index we have created here, that will be mapped with the user ID. So it will just scan how many users are there in my data. If this data is collected from 100 users, so it will assign 100 unique indexes to those 100 users starting from 0 to 99, and then those values will be further mapped with individual users available in my data, so that their movie preferences can be captured automatically. This mapping goes same in case of movie IDX also. So one more column will create for the movie information, and I'll pass this. This will be with user ID column basically. So this is how the user ID and movie ID column is present in our data set. If we can see here, this is how they are written. So in the similar pattern, I have written them here, and then this is movie to index we have mapped. So after doing this, I can just check updated head of my ratings data. If I run this, you can observe these last two we have created. User index 0 assigned to first user, because in Python indexing always starts from 0. So that first index 0 we have assigned, and then movie IDX we have assigned. So instead of having these random numbers, we have just given 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that will be further mapped with the specific movie ratings. So this we have created to simplify our design process for the model, so that some simplified matrices we can create instead of using those high scale values. Once we are done with this, the next step I can follow is separate training and testing data, so that accordingly I can build a recommendation system further. So here, just a very basic preprocessing I have done. These things I'll drop based on the requirement. I'll make that selection further. We can do that here also, that is optional, but there are plenty of preprocessing techniques that people can prefer to follow. So here, just one option I have done. I just created new columns from here that I'll use further while making my recommendation system. So now I'm separating my training and testing data. I'm writing here train data and then test data, then deploying my function to train and test data split. If you remember, we have called this function right in the beginning at this point. This is from sklearn library. So this one I'm deploying here, and inside this, the separations we are doing for the training and testing data set from the ratings file. And for this split, the test size I'm keeping is, for example, 20% into testing, and remaining 80% I'll keep in the training section. And random state value I'm passing is 42. This is just a random value we can pass. It is not like 42 will make any major difference. Just some value we need to pass into the random state, so that no matter how many times I run this code, it will split same entries. Means same random splitting it will do, so that our model behavior can be stable over the time, even if I run it time and again. So this is how we control model behaviors, by using random state variables. So once this is done, I can check shape of my training and testing data set. So I'll pass here shape method with both these data points, and this is currently my data. You can see around 80,000 observations I have in training set, around 20,000 observations I have in testing set. So once we have these splitted sequences, now we can build a recommendation system model. As I told you, I'll be creating a very basic model only, so that I'll pass further step by step here. I'll write here build recommendation model, and we are using a deep learning based recommendation model over here. So we'll add different layers into the model first. If you have worked on CNN modeling earlier in the previous sessions, I think on the first day itself, you might have done one basic CNN model. So you might have seen that we have different layers in that. like input layers, dense layers, flatten layers, dropout layers. There are plenty of layers that we add into CNN, and there may be so many layers combined together to create a dense, very in-depth model. So here also, taking inspiration from the similar kind of deep learning model, we are creating a recommendation system model by using embedding layers. I already told you that embedding layers we prefer when we have to deal with high dimensional vectors that we gather from user IDs, movie IDs, etc. We already know that there are like a wide range of users in our data, and they have watched a very long range of movies, like 200, 300 movies per users they have watched. So this is going to be a bigger matrix. So in order to deal with that, we are using embedding layers here, so that it can capture the characteristics and similarities between users and their preferred movie genres, and accordingly we can recommend things. So let us do it step by step. The first stage I'll make here is, I'll first calculate length of user IDs and movie IDs so that I can pass my model size accordingly later on. So this is for movie IDs, and again this is to decide length of my model later on. So this information I have extracted in the beginning. Then embedding size I'll pass here. For example, 50 I'll keep value. So this means 50 dimensional embedding will be generated. That will be basically a vector sequence with 50 numbers. So this is initial setting we are passing here. Like, it completely depends on how big matrix you want to create, how big vector sequence you want to create. Because we want to run it in a limited time, so I'm not creating a very big vector size, but I'm using a small 50 numbers vector sequence over here, so that a small model is created and that can be run within lesser time. After this, I'm passing here user and movie input layers. And for this, technique will be very simple. I'll first use user input, second I'll use movie inputs. Again, there are so many ways to feed your data to the model. I'm just using one simple approach here. Later on, you can explore others also. So first input layer I'm creating here, and for this I'm passing a shape of, this includes your individual column that will pass with the user input. So that shape I'm passing with single dimension data. Then name for this I'm creating is user input. So I'll just save this layer's name as user input in my model structure. So those names basically for every layer I'm passing here. Then second input layer I'm passing here, again with a shape similar to the previous one, but this time the name will be movie input that I'll pass to my model further. Currently we are creating model structure only. Input we pass after we compile model. So then we'll deploy model and we'll pass inputs to them. Currently we are creating empty structure of the model by deciding its dimensions, its shape, its layers, etc. This is how CNN models work. Then I'm passing here embedding layers. So again, here also 2 embedding layers I'll pass. So for the first embedding layer, the input dimension, as I told you, I'll be taking it from here because this is user layer. So dimension will decide from here based on what is the number of user in our data set that we will pass. Then output dimensions will get from based on the embedding size that we have decided earlier, because this will decide our output vector size now. Based on whatever input we have given, we will get this output vector size. So that will be automatically structured by the model within. The name of this layer I'm keeping is user embedding, and this layer will be joined with the previous user input layer. Observe carefully that I'm passing them in sequence with user input and movie input accordingly. So this input layer will be embedded with this layer. I have attached this one. You can see user input layer. By the end, I have attached. So this is how we are overlapping layers one after another. Then second is movie embedding layer that will be embedded to movie input layer that we have previously. Passing here the embedding for input layer. So first I have input dimension. I request you all to kindly mute yourself if there are no queries. It may create disturbance to other participants. Then we have output dimensions. Bharti ma'am, can you please mute yourself? Okay, so coming back to the point here, output dimension I'm passing is again based on the embedding size. The name of this layer I'll keep is movie embedding layer so that I can attach it accordingly in my system. And here it will be attached to previous movie input layer. So this is layer after layer attachment we are making. The idea here is to create a vector sequence, a 3D tensor basically it will create with batch size, input length and output dimension. So that information only we are passing into the layers right now. After this, I'm passing flatten layers. If you have learned CNN model precisely during previous sessions, you might have seen the importance of flatten layer over there. The flatten layer helps you to take 3D tensor from the previous layer and reshapes it to 2D or 1D based on the requirement. So in my case, I am passing it to a 2D tensor for the further processing that will include information based on input length as well as output dimension further. So what I'll pass here is one is my user vector with the flatten layer over here. I'll pass the name. I'm not passing any specific parameters to this. I'll just take standard parameters of this layer. So I'm not making any adjustments over here because it automatically creates the output vector sequence. The same I'll do with the movie vector sequence. So this one I have created and this is flattened movie and it will be embedded with the movie embedding layer that we have created in the previous stage. So once the flatten layer is done, then I'm adding dot layer and this will help us to create a dot product of layers that we are getting from the previous embedding sequences. It will basically take two embedding vectors together and complete their similarity scores, like based on what a user is watching time and again, what are the similarities between those movies, maybe based on genres, etc., whatever preferences they are making or what ratings they are making based on their preferences. So some movies may be rated higher, some may be rated lower. So accordingly a dot product sequence it will create. So the ones which have higher similarity index may have higher dot product value, others may have lower dot product value, and it will help in further recommendation system design. So I'm creating here the dot product layer output, calling the dot over here. It will be passing over axis 1, that is your column axis for movie rating and user IDs. And name of this layer I'm passing is dot product layer. And this time it will take your both inputs. One is your user vector and second is your, because this will take both inputs together to create that dot product. So combined layer on these previous two layers. So this combined layer will create us, give us the final output. Then tense layer for predicting rating, because the initial task we will do the rating prediction, and based on the higher rating of the movie we will use that for the recommendation of the movie. There may be different ways also. We are predicting rating, you may predict genre also later on as per your requirement. So there are plenty of options that you can try. Only one neuron I'm passing on the dense layer because I have a continuous variable to predict, that is rating variable, which is continuous in nature in our data set. Name of this layer I'm passing is output, and here I'm passing is dot product. So this should be structure of your recommendation model. I'll just run this part and let me check if I have any. This one is a typo, I guess. Let me check. Then we have embedding. Here I have a typo. I need to write user embedding. This is fine now. I don't have any error. Green tick is there, and in the next stage I'll pass here, compile this model, the base structure we have created, and let us see what it compiles based on the structure we have created. So I'll use it with the model from the Keras directly. Input I'll use based on the user input and movie input sequences that we will pass while deploying your model also. And then output of this model will be taken from the output layer that we have within the model. So that I have passed. The inputs are to be taken from the user information and movie information based on the data we have for the training purpose, and outputs will be taken as your last layer from the model. The outcome of that model will be taken. Then I'm passing the compile function here. Optimizer, by default I'm taking a DAM optimizer. You can try other optimizers also later on. Loss function I'm taking MSC over here because I have continuous variable to predict, so MSC will go fine with it. That is a kind of variable suitable for your regression modeling. So after passing this information, I'm passing the metric for the evaluation, that is mean absolute error. You can try other matrices also. Just one example I'm creating here. And then let us see model summary, what we get with our design process. Let me check if I have some typo inside. Yes, this will be inputs. So this is what we have created. By default, this is the structure of my model right now. Input layer, two input layers I have with single entries because there are single columns representing user input and movie input. And then user embeddings, these are two layers with 50 vector sequences. So this is the size we are getting. And these parameters are based on how many users we have in data and how many movies we have, uniqueness that we have in that data. After this, the flatten layer we have with this single vector size. Then dot product layer we are having where we are covering both these input sequences, and then finally output layer we are having with the dot product. So this is the empty structure of my model right now. Then we can train this model now. Once the structure of your deep learning model is ready, then we can train this model. So for this, the technique will be simple. First, I'll create train user data. So it will be taken from train data, and I'll take user IDX for this, and just values only I'm extracting. I'm not taking the data frame, just the array sequence I'll get. Then train movies data, because I'll have to pass them separately if you remember. Here, I need user input and movie input separately. So I'm just creating two different sections for the model training purpose also. So it requires movie IDX, and that with the values, again the array we are extracting. Then the target variable we have is train ratings, and this will require data from the ratings column only. So this I'm passing here with values function again. The same we will do with the testing data set as well. So I'm copying this and I'll pass this for the testing data. The split of train and test we have already done. If you remember, train test split function we have already deployed. So from those specific areas only, I'm capturing this information. And once these different sections of data we have created, we can fit our model now. So train model, and for this model dot fit function I'll use here. And within this, first I'm passing my input sequence. So that is train user data. Second is train movie data, because these two parameters I decided to pass as an input. If you remember this sequence as inputs we have created, so these two things I'm passing. Similarly, the outputs I have to pass. So for this, I'll use y variable for instance, and I'll pass here train ratings. As we know that we use training data for model fitting purpose, so the same I'm using here. For the prediction later on, you can use testing data. In this case study, I have not created any validation data set. When you deploy your real-time studies, you can create validation data set also. Process will be simple only. From the training data set itself, you can segregate some data as validation set. In my case, since I have not created a separate uh, validation dataset. So in my case, I'll be using training dataset as validation, testing dataset as validation dataset directly. Just to save time only, I'm doing that. Later on, you can try these datasets separately. So test user data I'm using here, and test movie data I'm using here. Otherwise, you can try it with separate validation dataset also later on. So these are all the parameters I need to pass into my model as a basic requirement of your model fitting process. Validation data we have passed, batch size, epochs I'm keeping 10 only. I suppose it will take some time to train depending upon the size of data. So 10 epochs may be enough, or I can reduce it further like to 8 so that it doesn't take much time. And as soon as it finishes its training, we can see the outcomes further. So I'll just run this. If everything is fine, it should start working. Train ratings I have an error with. I have not passed a comma here. Let me check one more typo I may have. This is rating variable, and here also. So the training process started now. You can observe here. It will take some time for training. In the meanwhile, as the model works, let me create the recommendation options further to generate recommendations from this model. So as soon as the training process is done, we can see the recommendations made by the model. And for that, we'll write here. One thing is, you can see the rating prediction directly. What ratings are predicted by the model, that is one choice. I'm taking it a step ahead. I'll show you the generated recommendations based on movie names, because we have movie data set also. Till now, all the process I have done on ratings data. Now I'll map it with movies data also, and with the specific movie name, I'll generate the recommendations. So that will be like the intelligent sequence we generate with the help of real recommendation systems. So the first thing I'll do is create a mapping of movie ID to title. That will be my first, because movie IDs we already have, but now we need to map it to the titles. So movie ID to title I'm creating, and for this again I'm taking help from a dictionary, and inside this I'm passing a variable movie ID, and inside this row title. These will be two elements of our dictionary that we are passing here, and inside this how these elements will be generated. So two elements I'm taking. The index of the row I'm keeping empty, so that is why I have used this underscore variable. I don't want to gather index of my rows, just the value from the rows I need to get. So that only I'm trying to get here with iterate rows function. With the help of this, the second element, row element, we are trying to gather, and that row element is basically your connectivity between movie ID and title. And while deploying this, what I'll do is I'll create one example for the recommendation, like recommend top 5 movies for a user. So that kind of example basically we are creating based on the model that we have already trained here. The model training is also done. You can observe we have this loss parameter MAE and these values we have. So not a very bad model, almost good, because MAE value is close to 0, loss function is also close to 0. So this is approximately a good model we can see. Further, you can increase epochs in the model and you can have more improved accuracy. So user ID I'm keeping is 1, for example. I want to make recommendation for user 1. If you want to make for other users, accordingly you can change the ID. Then user IDX I'm passing here. So user to index data that we have created initially, will map it with the user ID. If you remember, we have created this user to index data initially. So that only I'm mapping with the user IDs over here to work with your this movie dataset recommendation directly. So in the next step, what I'll do here is I'll write predict ratings for all movies. First, we'll predict for all movies. Then I'll choose top 5 movies out of that. So movie ratings, or first we'll get the indices, not ratings. First, we'll just get the indices for those movie predictions. Taking help from NumPy library and num movies. This we have created already from the length of movies, if you remember, length of number of movies. So based on that, index numbers will be generated automatically. Then those index numbers will connect further with the predicted ratings so that we can match it later on for the recommendation automatically. These are some adjustments that we are making into the model to ensure that things are connected with each other. So full like recommendation we are making with the help of all movie indices that we will attach to the decided user ID. As you remember, I'm making recommendation for user ID 1. So I'm generating predictions for user ID 1 based on all the user indices that movie indices that I have received for this particular user. So that information we are trying to pass here. And after making this prediction, I'll just try to get recommend top 5 movies. And for that, top 5 indices I'm trying to calculate. It will be with the help of sort function I can obtain. And then the predicted ratings that I'm getting from the model. You can observe these are predicted ratings I'm getting from the model. So argument sort predicted ratings I'm getting from here. And this is, okay, I'll pass it with first element directly. And then I'll be extracting last 5 elements from this, because by default this sorting goes in descending order. So from the last elements we'll have top ratings. So -5 I'm using to extract last 5 entries, and then I'm just flipping them. This is the flipping technique I'm using here, because the last entry will be the highest rating. So that I'm bringing on the top. So first I'm extracting last 5 entries and then I'm just flipping them so that the highest comes on the top and the lowest comes on the bottom among those 5. So once we are done with this, I can just recommend movie titles. Instead of just showing ratings, I'll just map it to movie titles, because that mapping we have already done. Movie ID to title I have already done in the mapping sequence. Inside this, I'll pass movie ID. For movie ID, I'll run a for loop in recommended movies section. So just simply running a for loop sequence to iterate through all the recommended movies, capture their IDs, and then convert them into movie titles. And ultimately, we can print that sequence. So I'll write here top 5 movie recommendations for user, and for that user we are passing user ID here. I'll not make it specific because user ID we can change from the top, so accordingly the outputs will be also updated. And then I'm passing here recommended movie titles. So this should make sense. Now we have top 5 recommendations, and if all goes good it should recommend 5 movies in the end. Let me check, we have a typo somewhere. This has to be movies because I have saved the parameter accordingly. Then here also user to index, this has to be a square bracket because we are iterating through a column here. So that correction I'm making. This also has to be a range will be with single R. Num movies not defined. Let me check how we have listed num movies on the top. Okay, this is num movie only, not S. So I'll just change this one. Now the next error I have with this element, let me check. This has to be with the IDX column. Just few typos only I'm trying to correct inside. NP full like we are making model prediction from here. Okay, this has to be within square bracket. That is another mistake because it will organize things based on the square bracket only. Now the recommendations we started with, and here again I have one typo. Okay, that is because of this comma. One more typo I can find here, that is for movie ID to title. Movie ID is correct. For movie ID in recommended movie IDs is fine. There may be some recommended movie IDs not defined. Okay, fine. One thing I missed in between, that was recommended movie IDs. Here I need to create a variable recommended movie IDs that will be with the help of movie IDX, because we are comparing it with the values generated by the system, and then we are so iterating through all the IDX values and we are searching for top 5 indices in that. And those top 5 indices I'm creating further from here, so that should be fine. This top 5 indices I have to pass before this, then only it will be able to capture it. One more thing is left, let me check. Recommended movie titles, this one I may need to just correct this one. Now this is fine. So you can see top 5 recommendations for user 1, first movie, second movie, third, fourth and fifth movie. This we can see. So these are 5 top recommendations based on the highest ratings given by the existing user on different types of movie. So it has just gathered that information from the database and then it is recommending movies over here. So this is just how a simple recommendation system may work. And based on this, you may see outputs on your Netflix or Prime, Amazon Prime, etc. platforms, and then you choose the movies to watch. And again, next time it is going to recommend you a new movie based on this kind of information. So this is just a quick sample of that entire setting we have on the different movie platforms. I hope this was a relevant information for all of you, although I couldn't see anyone implementing things side by side. But still, just let me know if you are able to understand whatever we have discussed in this session. If you have any queries or anything to discuss, the house is open for all of you. You can put up in the chat box. And your feedbacks, your comments, everything is valuable to us. So please let me know in the chat box. Let me know if you have any queries or any feedbacks. I hope all of you are connected throughout the session, because we are not seeing any responses from anyone.
I think there is no question, ma'am.
Yes, sir, I think so. Then we can, I think, wind up the session.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for this session. We will meet again for the next sessions.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.